I know you don't want to sit through a 20-minute video of me combing through all of the most recent patch notes in Escape from Tarkov, so I've picked the best changes and made a condensed patch note list. Let's go through the big additions and expand on how they might just change the game. I'm Gaz, welcome to the channel. Tarkov has just wiped, I'm back to content creation, and there's new content to explore. Let's do this. Quick reminder to like the video and sub to the channel if you find this helpful. First things first, we've got a new Lighthouse expansion. You can now actually visit the Lighthouse proper. The island surrounding it is now open. Currently there's no in-raid trader. I have my suspicions that within the next couple of weeks, or at least at some point within this wipe, BSG will add it as part of some sort of event, and with him will come along the sniper Scav boss who will guard him. Currently if you try to get anywhere near the actual lighthouse, the landmines will trigger and kill you, so don't try it. But there are some good looting locations on the island that have some, I believe, med spawns and tech spawns. I haven't been there myself, but I have seen it on stream. On top of this, when it comes to the Lighthouse expansion itself, there is also some new areas opened up within the water treatment plant. So these also have some tech loot and med loot spawns, as well as giving the rogues even more opportunity to find a different angle to come through and kill you, which is always nice. Next up, we've got new animations. So running animations have been changed and they actually make the game feel a lot more realistic. Instead of the sort of stiff run animations, we've now got individual animations for each weapon, which actually makes a lot of sense. As if you were running around, say, with a long-barreled sniper rifle, the way that your arms would swing is much different than if you were running around with, say, a UMP or even a pistol. Pistols haven't changed a great deal, as you could always run around with those in one hand, but now shorter barrel rifles or some submachine guns, you can actually run around with them in one hand, which is it's very interesting and it makes more sense. It's much more realistic. On top of this, inertia's had some changes as well, so Q and E leaning has had inertia added to it. I don't know if this was originally, it was in the bug fixed list, so I think this was probably supposed to always be the case, but maybe they were sort of refining it. Either way, it feels great and it will affect the way that we engage in gunfights. As usual, there's a heap of new items. You've got the usual additions of things like salt, vitamins, a bunch of new tools like the files and the awl, I believe it is. Then we've got some new weapons such as the G36, the AXMC sniper rifle, Benelli M3 shotgun, and even more. And finally, there's some new streamer items such as Nice Guy's Press Pass, which is pretty cool, and Dr. Disrespect's Packer, which is a red Packer. I mean, it's tier 3, so you're probably not going to use it that much, but it is very cool to have as a collector's item. With this patch, we've also had the introduction of the rogue bosses Birdeye, Knight, and Big Pipe. These guys are going to change the way we play the game forever. They don't spawn on one map. I think we all assumed that Lighthouse would be their home, but actually they can be found on a range of different maps. These are Lighthouse, Customs, Woods, and Shoreline. And when you find them, probably in the early wipe, I won't lie to you, in the early wipe you should run. These guys Birdeye will pick you off from a distance, and Knight and Big Pipe will both run at you. As soon as one of them sees you, they communicate via radio, and all of them see you. So if you see them, you get out of there. Of course, as I mentioned, Birdeye is the long range. He carries a sniper rifle, and he's very, very accurate. If he sees you and you give him more than half a second, he will take your head off. Knight is more of the standard assault sort of character, similar to, I would say, probably Killer in terms of the way that he runs at you and the weaponry he uses. And then Big Pipe is very fond of grenade launchers and explosives, which is very interesting because we haven't had a boss that sort of behaves in that way before. So he won't always spawn with his new GL, sometimes he'll have the single shot GL, but if he sees you, or even if he has seen you recently and you duck behind cover, be very, very careful of that grenade launcher because he will splash damage you. All in all, I think the fact that they can spawn on any map and there's no rhyme or reason to it, we won't know where they spawn with any certainty until probably a good few months into the wipe, because it's almost impossible to pinpoint. They spawn on certain maps at certain times of day, so we won't know unless we can backtrack and sort of figure out what time we loaded into raid, when we saw them. So it'll be a very interesting learning experience for the community, and it means that pretty much every map you have to be so careful. Next up, we've got offline co-op, which has been a pretty interesting feature, one that's been, I think, very, very highly requested. I think it's going to be excellent for things like Machinima and Tarkov movies. I look forward to see kind of what the more skilled content creators than I will be able to do with this mode in terms of making little animated movies, and I think there's going to be some interesting stuff coming from that. For me and you though, offline co-op is going to be good for access to exploring maps, loading in with friends, fighting scavs without worrying about player interference, testing loadouts and weapons. It's going to be huge. Unfortunately, this is only available to EOD for now, although I can see them changing that in the future, but it might be a reason that you want to pick up EOD, as well as the arena being free to access for those who've already purchased EOD, so now might be the time that you want to grab it. Scav dailies have also been introduced into the game, so similar to normal daily tasks, Scav dailies can be picked up from Fence once you've unlocked the Intel Center level 1. They are your run-of-the-mill tasks, there's nothing really too crazy about them. It'll be a case of going to a raid, kill 3 PMCs, something like that. The rewards aren't fantastic, but they are a way for you to get a few extra items that you might need for quests or hideout. And finally, airdrops now have different crates. So beforehand, airdrops came in, they came in randomly, and they would drop a huge crate full of an assortment of different items. Things have changed slightly in a couple of ways. Firstly, you can now call in your own airdrops as well as the ones that fly through the map at random intervals. And these airdrops are no longer a big mishmash of different items and equipment. You can tell by the top of the box itself which type of airdrop it's going to be. And these can be things like health items, guns and attachments, and other things like that. They're all separated into their own boxes, which is quite cool. I found a health and food item one the other day, and it had a couple of ophthalmoscopes in it. So I managed to get out with those, so now I have those for later quests. It's very cool that they've sectioned them off a little bit, because let's be honest, the airdrops came with some of the most sought after items and weapons in the game, so having the ability to get a much smaller pool, I think it'll make the way that airdrops work very different. And obviously being able to call in your own airdrops is something that people have been asking for a while. I think it's going to be very good. I think it's very interesting. And I'd just like to throw in sort of an honourable mention for the extra special item slots that your PMC now has. You can now carry things like markers, Wi-Fi cameras, rangefinders, compasses, all in 3 separate slots where the compass slot was before. So there you have it. Those are the big changes with patch 12.12.30. What a weird number convention that is. I think I've covered just about everything there is to know. Hopefully there will be more things that come pretty sort of thick and fast. I'm really hoping we see the trader at Lighthouse in the next couple of weeks. I think it's a good patch. There's not a huge deal of content in here, but I think there's enough to keep the players going, and I think everybody was dying for a wipe at the end of last patch. I hope you found this video helpful. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave me a like and hit that subscribe button. We're getting very close to 1,000 subscribers, so that's my goal for now. If you could help me get there, I would much appreciate that. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.